My name is Anna. Welcome back to Dinomite Explorers. This is week 4. And last time we learned all about the biggest flying reptile of the dinosaur world, the Quetzalcoatlus. So if you missed it, make sure you find it, check out our YouTube channel, and then you can see all the other previous videos from the Dinomite Explorers program too if you missed it. But this week, we are going to learn about the most famous plant-eating dinosaur, and what is widely considered to be the rhinoceros of the dinosaur world, the Triceratops. So when and where did the Triceratops live? And the Triceratops lived 68 to 66 million years ago during the late Maastrichtian age of the Upper Cretaceous period. And they lived in the area that we know today to be Western North America, but at the time would have been known as Laramidia. And you might be thinking, wait, I've heard this before. And you would be right. They lived at the exact same time in the exact same place as the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Now, remember this chart of the Mesozoic era, and they lived in this exact same time period, right where the arrow is pointing, at the Maastrichtian age. So all this time before the Triceratops lived, the Triceratops didn't live during any of these times, only in this one small little sliver of the Mesozoic era. And then we've got this map again. So we've got the past on the left and we've got the present on the right. And where the arrows are pointing at the map on the left, that is the past. So that is about the area where the Triceratops lived. And then the little star on the right, that's where we live now. So they lived in the area known as Laramidia in Western North America. So how did the Triceratops get its name? And pronounced Triceratops, their name comes from a combination of the Greek syllables tri, meaning 3, keras, which means horn, and ops, which means face. So when you put it all together, tri, keras, and ops, Triceratops literally means tri-horn face. So how was the Triceratops discovered? And the Triceratops was first discovered by a man named George Cannon in 1887. And the very first fossil remains were excavated near Denver, Colorado, which means they were removed from the ground near Denver, Colorado. And they were originally thought to have been fossils from a giant species of extinct bison. So when scientists first found the fossils from the Triceratops, they did not think it was a dinosaur, and they had no idea what they were looking at. But then over time, they realized these fossils actually belong to a dinosaur. So you can see here, this is Colorado, right here in the red, and the arrows are pointing right at the area, right about where Denver would be. So what did the Triceratops look like? Well, the Triceratops was part of a group of dinosaurs called marginocephalians. And these dinosaurs were notably grouped together because every dinosaur in this category had a really hard skull that they used for their defense. So the Triceratops is most famous for the bony frill on the back of their neck, which is this right here. So this is a frill, and you see it's really bony and spiky, and they're most well known for that. But also they've got these 3 horns on top of their skull. So you can see right where the arrows are pointing, they've got the horns here and the bony frill on the back of their neck. Now these were likely used to keep the Triceratops safe and to defend themselves from their predators. But this is probably what the Triceratops is most famous for. Now, here's a side-by-side. So remember how I said they're considered to be the rhinoceros of the dinosaur world? And here's a side-by-side. So on the left, this is what the Triceratops look like. And on the right, this is what a rhinoceros looks like. So you can see they're actually really similar. And this is why a lot of people compare the two. So their bodies are really similar. They've got their same like feet and hooves. And then they both have these horns on top of their heads. And their head shape is really similar. So that's why a lot of people think that it's just like the rhinoceros. Triceratops also had a giant bird-like beak. So you can see here, this beak, it actually looks a lot like what a lot of birds look like. But their mouth was filled with tons of teeth, and they were rows and rows and rows of teeth. And this really helped the Triceratops eat their vegetation. So they were able to clip off different pieces of plants with their beak, and then their teeth helped them grind it all up. Now, the Triceratops was also one of the largest and heaviest of all the horned dinosaurs, and scientists think that it was likely they could have weighed up to 16,000 pounds. Now, the Triceratops wasn't the tallest dinosaur. They could only grow to about 10 feet tall, which is still a lot bigger than a human, but not one of the tallest dinosaurs. But they could grow up to 30 feet in length. But the really cool thing about the Triceratops, their skull alone could be 8 feet long. So their skull and their head would have taken up, if they grew to 30 feet, it would have been about a quarter of their entire bodies. Now, what did the Triceratops eat? So the Triceratops was actually an herbivore, which means that they only ate plants, and they didn't eat meat of any kind. So just like vegetarians of today, they only ate plants. And they likely ate a lot of really low-growing plants because their head was really low to the ground. So they couldn't reach the stuff that was really high up and tall in the trees. And so the plants that they ate were most likely ferns, cycads, and palms. So ferns are actually still around today. That is one of the plants that actually survived the mass extinction when the asteroid hit Earth 66 million years ago. But unfortunately for the Triceratops, they were often hunted on by other meat-eating dinosaurs as a source of food. And most famously, the Triceratops was the prey of the Tyrannosaurus Rex. And unfortunately for the Triceratops, they wouldn't have stood a chance against the height and mighty jaws of the T-Rex. Because remember, the T-Rex, their jaw was so strong that when they bit into something, bone exploded. It was so strong. So if a T-Rex was able to pin down a Triceratops and they were able to bite into their bone, that would have been it for the Triceratops. But how fast was the Triceratops? So the Triceratops at full speed would have been able to run about 16 miles an hour. So if they were lucky and they were able to get away from the T-Rex, they actually would have been able to outrun them if they could keep going, because the T-Rex only ran about 12 miles an hour, but the Triceratops could have gone a little bit faster. So what are some fun facts about the Triceratops? Well, the Triceratops is one of the most widely known dinosaurs in the whole world, and fossils are so common. Scientists discover the dinosaur fossils so much that when they're discovered today, they're not always excavated, which means they're not always pulled out of the ground when they're found. So sometimes scientists just leave the bones in place, but they note that they're there in case they need them later on. And the official fossil of the state of South Dakota is actually the Triceratops. So they did this a few years ago. So you can see South Dakota here in the red, and all the arrows are pointing right at South Dakota. And they did this a few years ago. There are so many Triceratops fossils that have been found in the state of South Dakota that they just made it the official fossil. And more than 25 different species of dinosaurs that are just like the Triceratops have all been found, and they're all recognized under a group called Ceratopsian. Now you can see here in this picture, they're all different by the horns on their skull and the frill on the back of their neck. So this is how scientists tell them apart, is based on the structure of their skull. So you can see all their head shapes are really different. They're all different sizes. Their bodies all look pretty much the same, but their skulls are all totally different. And that is how scientists tell them apart. So that is it for this week and the Triceratops. And since we're all finished with this dinosaur, we're going to put him on the map. So as a reminder, each week we'll add the dinosaur that we have looked at onto the map. And then at the end, we'll have all the dinosaurs on the world map to show where they would have lived. So we've got the T-Rex from week 1. We have the Quetzalcoatlus from last time. And then we've got the Triceratops from this time. So next week, next time, tune in. And we are going to explore a new dinosaur, which I don't know if you guys remember from the very, very first week. We talked about the first dinosaur ever discovered and the first dinosaur that was ever named. We're going to talk about the Megalosaurus. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.